Gain-of-function research, if you've not heard about it, is the scientific method of looking at something, in this case a virus, and making it more infective and more harmful. Now behind that, there's a potential benefit, right? If science could stay in front of a virus, just right in front of it, we would have a one-upmanship on dealing with it. The problem is what happens when you're not just one-upping the virus, but you're leaping it by hundreds or thousands of years, which is not something you should expect to need to address naturally. Research in this country dates back to 1999 when the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services began putting money into understanding these viruses and gain-of-function research. It's been going on for a while. In 2000, a gentleman by the name of Ralph Baric, Professor Ralph Baric at the University of North Carolina, who gets money from Peter Dayzak of EcoHealth, who gets money from our federal government, Dr. Baric began working with these coronaviruses, and he successfully used reverse genetics. That should send a slight alarm bell off into your head, where he went and rescued what's called coronavirus urbani and made a very infectious clone. That was back in 2000. In 2002, 2 years later, Baric, Young, and Curtis, all at the University of North Carolina, got a patent for chimeric DNA. Now, if you see little asterisks up here, you'll find something down at the bottom, because a researcher like myself will tell you exactly where my statement's coming from. That's what backs it up. You can go read it. You don't have to take my word for it. Some of these you might want to get somebody else to help you interpret, but you can read it. A chimer means you take parts of one animal and you combine it with parts of another animal. That's our term for what translates into gain of function, because these things aren't naturally occurring. Here's the NIH grant that paid for this. Many of you are probably painfully familiar with Senator Rand Paul and Senator Kennedy asking questions of, who is that? Dr. Fauci. Asking about gain-of-function research. Anything that says that NIH, recognizing that NIAID, the National Institutes of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, is under the umbrella of NIH. Okay? So anything that happens at NIH and anything that happens in NIAID, these things are connected. And when you get the full backstory, you'll realize that Dr. Fauci was on committees that had to oversee gain-of-function research. So when he says we didn't fund it, we didn't provide it, okay, you be the judge. Red pill, blue pill. NIH grant. This was 2002. In 2002, Dr. Shi Zhengli, anybody recognize that name, of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, stated that she combined HIV pseudovirus with SARS-CoV-1. Okay? In 2003, at Chapel Hill, Baric, with an NIH grant affiliated with NIAID, began synthetically altering coronaviridae. That's coronavirus. That's the family of coronavirus, viridae. In 2006, you will discover, if you go read that paper, that the Chinese put together 4 viruses: HIV-1, hepatitis C virus. In 2006, they identified it as SARS-CoV-1 and SARS-CoV-2. They used PCR testing to prove that that's what they had. The interesting thing about the PCR testing that they did is they followed Kary Mullis, who got the patent for PCR tests. And what Dr. Mullis said was that you stop PCR testing at 20 cycles. And that's what his patent said, because anything more causes you to artificially induce things that really aren't real. And at 20 cycles, you will find everything that's really there. Interesting note, Dr. Mullis was the last person to take on Anthony Fauci. Dr. Mullis is dead. He died from a pneumonia in November of 2019. A very healthy man with no prior health problems who took on Anthony Fauci is now dead.